Hi. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm Linda Kay Gifford, and I've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this car motor behind the garage next door to go off. But I decided just to get on and say hi and happy St. Patrick's Day first. I'm in my kilt. I even wore my crown, yes. Being a actual traced descendant of both Mary Queen of Scots and a Viking Earl of Giffard, I figure, hey, one day a year, I'm gonna wear the crown I picked up somewhere along the way, in the weird way these things befall us. But we were talking yesterday, what I talk about always is sexuality, society, and spirit, essentially, and especially how it pertains to the CSA survivor. You know what? Let me try something. I think I have a light over here. Now, I just started this, so I know I'm mostly talking to myself. But invite your friends and partners of those with CSA or with a partner with CSA, it's not something you have, who has a history of childhood sexual assault. People with cPTSD have a really hard time navigating intimacy, and the thing that was the most frightening to me was to find out that I didn't know that. As I was navigating intimacy and thinking I was in love and getting married and failing and getting divorced and having flashbacks and things like that, but not knowing what they were called, not giving names to them. This is bouncing around. Sorry, make you sick there. When I discovered along the way more and more and more how there was a pattern to my failure, I wouldn't even call it failure, my lack of ability to find somebody to trust, never knowing until I had, in just the last couple of years, experienced what I would call true intimacy, giving and taking, melding together kind of intimacy. In the past, I thought that's what I was accomplishing just by having sex with my husband or partner, you know. So we redefine things as we get older. I'm not saying, and will never say I didn't love my husbands. It's just that every time I learn something more about myself and why I am the way I am, and every time I decide, and this is the key in what we're getting to, every time I decide to reach for more, you know, I've got that drive in me that says this is the life I get. I believe in the afterlife too, because I died once and went somewhere. We'll talk about that another time. In fact, if you want to go to my YouTube channel, it says I survived suicide twice, and I do detail my afterlife experience. And no, it's not all about religion. I didn't come back born again. I came back going, wow, that was even more stuff to be confused about. You know, basically, I used to not know if the next life might be like a work camp, if there was one, you know, so I'm just going to hedge my bets at sticking around here. And that means I want to have a really damn good one. And even when I thought I was having good sex, I was performing. I was having performance sex and never really ever satisfied myself. I bought into the myth that women just mostly aren't orgasmic. I faked it as good as the next gal. I was a willing participant in things that ultimately I look back now and go, wow, I just didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know that there was a healthier way to be. And there's a staggering number of us sexual assault survivors, childhood sexual assault survivors, both men and women. And I also work online with men and others. I don't give a GD what you identify as. I'm all for nobody giving anybody labels and just having life happen and accepting your feelings, whatever they are. So along those lines, I accept first day and the first lesson, the first S, the S in SPADES, my SPADES management, trigger management program. So the shame is not yours. S, the shame is not yours. You've got to keep internalizing this, externalizing it actually. You have internalized we, if you're a partner or a support personnel. And this is, I can stand here. I'm not a licensed therapist or a doctor. I'm someone who had 7 years of grooming and assault. I was raped. I was gang raped, I suppose you call that. I was drugged. I was given alcohol at a young age. I was led down a path of deprivation and hated myself for it. Had a great family. It wasn't that. But I had a really not stable first ex-brother-in-law, and it wasn't good. But I'm not going to be the person who is just angry about my life. And that's why I'm here. That's why I'm starting this. That's why I'm doing my SPADES trigger management program. I'm doing it so that you don't have to spend 20 years trying to figure it out and going through things that you think are okay, but then you later find out, we're like, my God, what was I doing? When you just have a little more knowledge. I got a little more knowledge for you, okay? S, the shame is not yours. P, separate the past from the present. This is all has to do with dissociation, and beyond just teaching you techniques, the first thing I have to teach you, because this is what we're moving on to now. We did a lot about shame. Moving on. Dissociation is something you need to understand on a neurological level before you'll be able to take the steps to incorporate this step rather into your life. But once you do, it's not hard. You will be washed over with cPTSD. Events. These still happen. I oftentimes put myself into them by talking about them on here. That happened to me on my first live stream. This is only my second. But the thing is, that's good, because then I can show you the way to talk yourself back down instead of going full mental. And I understand going full mental because, like I was saying in the first one, jumping in the rabbit hole of crazy actually feels amazing. Jumping in the rabbit hole of crazy feels freaking amazing. And it's a bad amazing. You tell everyone you don't want to do it. You say, oh God, I'm so embarrassed. And you are. When you wake up from a CPT event, you're like embarrassed, especially if it's sex. The first time I had a CPT moment with my current and forever partner, I was mortified because we have such a great new level of intimacy that I didn't think it would be possible. But the thing is, it happened, and it happened so fast, and I incorporated the techniques I had already been practicing before I even re-met my partner. My partner and I worked together 30 years ago, and we re-met a couple years ago. We've been together ever since that day one of re-meeting. So that's the background there when I talk about my partner. So I have this flashback during an intimate sexual moment, and I felt embarrassed and mortified, but because this partner is particularly in tune to me in the way that makes this kind of intimacy possible, this new intimacy that I want you all to experience. And let me precurse this by saying, I'm not here to save relationships. I probably break up more relationships than I save. I got on one of these dating group things for a while, on Quora, actually. I'm only looked at Quora a couple times, but I got on there and I snapped back at somebody, but I start getting these things from people. I'm like, my God, people are such masochists. What can I do to make my girlfriend stop cheating on me? It's like, why would you want a girlfriend that cheats on you? I mean, the questions are stupid, and what they across the board show me though is that people have more invested in the relationship and maintaining it than they do in making sure that the person they're in the relationship with is somebody they mesh with. And if you mesh with a person on deep levels, ecstasy is possible. But if violence and anger are also possible, then you gotta go. You gotta go. You can't do that. What you're doing is you're feeding off of and feeding into a narcissist. And everyone talks about narcissists. It's like, I almost don't want to say it because I don't want to be trendy, but it's just the truth. It's the GD truth. Narcissists are all over survivors' lives because we don't even know. I didn't know until recently that I've spent a lot of my life just thinking about what people think about me. Right? Thinking, am I good enough for you? Am I good enough for you? Or not what the person that I intend. I see somebody as like, okay, they're acceptable in whatever sense as someone who I might be able to have a relationship with, right? So what can I do to be perfect for them? What do they want? What do they want? Blah, blah. And I'm never did it occur to me until I just recently found out I was doing this, because I go to therapy too. Coaches have coaches. I do an hour a week usually. I've been off of it for a while because I'm getting ready to move again. Good move, moving in with my partner. And it looks like I'm going to live happily ever after all. And I'm really surprised about that, to tell you the truth. But you know it when you know it. And the thing is, it's not about what can I do to keep them there. It's about every day we just want to be there. And that's what you need. And when it gets back to the sex thing and the trigger thing and the being washed over with a CPT moment, when you're being intimate with somebody that you really want to be with, that you're in a good relationship with, somebody I would approve of, somebody I would approve of, you're still going to have that moment. So the technique I'm going to teach you, brought it up yesterday, this is a separating the past from the present technique. And once you learn it, it will be life-saving or moment-saving, and most people won't even know. Now, my partner knew. He was just like, he stopped and he looked at me in the eyes deeply and he's like, you all right? And I was like, yeah, I had a trigger. And he was like, just kissed me on the forehead, and we continued, and it passed. And the reason it passed was because I applied a technique I'd been using outside of intimate, because I'd never gotten there before. 3 marriages and divorces, and this is my first trip into mutual ecstasy land, orgasmic land, the kind you don't fake. It's possible. It's beyond possible. It's awesome, but it all happened not because my partner's so wonderful, which they are, but because I knew to look for a wonderful person, finally. And that is not dissing my exes. A lot of you know my exes. They are all excellent people in their own special ways. It's just, we all have our own needs. And I was talking yesterday at length about partners and how partners of CSA survivors need to know that it may be more than you can take. That you may love somebody, but if they refuse to try to change, I can't even take it. I'm a coach, and I have and will gently let loose anybody who refuses to keep taking positive steps. Because some people just want to be done with it. I want to be okay. I want to be okay. What do I do to be okay, Linda? And it's like, you every day hang on, but you don't have to suffocate. You don't have to hang on in a way that feels horrible anymore. You just have to know there are going to be moments. And you have to be equipped like anything else. Like we train the military and we train cops and we train our children. I did. My ex and I put them, he mostly, give you that, paid for and put them in martial arts training when they were little, because it's important to protect yourself. Well, it's important to have knowledge and skills to cheerlead yourself too. So I said this yesterday too, if you're a person who is opposed to talking to yourself or think that people who talk to themselves are crazy, then this probably isn't the program for you. Not even a program, just management theme, system, steps, 6 things you can do. I'm trying to simplify how I say this, because program, steps, system, it's all so daunting. It's just, hey people, there's 6 things I want to tell you that I do all day long, every day, but in subtle ways. I don't have to concentrate and focus on it. But like anything else, I did it first, do it repetitively, and tell myself the shame is not mine. I learned to separate the past from the present, and I really explored that, and I write about it, and I've got hours and hours of videos about it on my YouTube channel, which you can link to from here if you want to. But, hey, I just saw the sun went down. Hi, Cambo. Hi. I just started doing this. I forgot that people would actually be there. I'm used to like just talking to myself, to my imaginary audience. Speaking of that, I was talking about separating the past from the present, and that's another thing that we're going to delve into deeply, and is alters. And yes, I said before, I'll say it again, I'm not ashamed. I've got 2 alters. I have named them Rage and Little Girl. And there are all different levels of alters, and that's another thing you need to learn for the step we're on, which is the P, separate the past from the present. If you have a voice in your head that takes over in certain circumstances, and guess what? Like 28 out of 100 people do. So it's a whole lot more people than you think. 28% of people have some kind of an alter that's developed from some kind of trauma or situation in their life, and it's not even considered an illness, not even in cases of complete dissociation where you've got, you know, separate people coming and going and showing up and presenting. You know, I don't have alters that present, but I did have 2 escape alters that decided that when I was forced to perform oral sex and have it performed on me when I was just a very young adolescent, I'll say we got to that stage by 12, and penetration rape, I call it, by 14. It's just, you know, it's sickening. It's beyond like, oh, did you know it's wrong? It's like, guys, you guys are way ahead of the thought process of somebody that age. You know, I just was like confusing land, everything swimming around in my head. Because it happened to me at such a young age, my brain literally did not form the connections. That's what the complex cPTSD is. Complex means it happened at the time when you were just developing connections between the part of your brain and your experience that is right here in the present and jumbled and like sensation, sound, taste, texture. And then to a person who is not under trauma, your mind naturally grows more neurons and processes more and more experiences and files them away neatly in chronological order in memory that is accessible and relatively permanent, short of a degenerative disease or injury or something. So the memory making, in other words, is marginalized. It is reduced in a person who has been assaulted, or in some, even food deprivation, even people whose parents yelled and screamed at each other or witnessed somebody else's trauma. I have a friend who witnessed her brother being abused, and it has had lifelong consequences on her too. So you get this buildup of experience that has not been filed away. So it's not been even put into sentences in your mind. You know how you see something and then, okay, I'm going to just look. Boom. I'm looking at something. Okay, it's the driveway and their garage, and now I see grass and I look more deeply. There's some stones on the side and a cap. Gotta pick that up because it's unsightly. Okay, so what I just did there was what you do with any experience. Now imagine I just looked at it, but instead of just seeing that, it's like I got balls in my face, a dick in my throat, being raped, something like that, anything traumatic, a car wreck, a bomb exploding. Imagine, you know, seeing somebody you love die, whatever, and you're a child, and this is too much. You're not going to process it. It's too much. So you dissociate. And it's a healthy thing to do. It saves your ass. It saves your life. So if you have alters, what I'm saying is send them a thank you card. Okay, send them a couple. Because by learning to dissociate by your brain, you don't learn to, it just comes naturally. You separate the experience from the rest of your life. And people who have strongest dissociation abilities and those who have alters are more likely to be high performing, seem normal like me. Most people are surprised to find out that I went through so many years of this kind of assault. And I don't believe in the concept. Here's something you should never say to a sexual assault survivor is, well, God has a plan and now you've learned something, you can help others, whatever. It's like, God damn that's bullshit. Don't you ever tell me that. Nobody planned for a little girl to get groomed and raped and gang raped and drugged and sodomized, and nobody. If there's a deity that plans that kind of shit and thinks there's a higher purpose from it, then I will go and try to kill them and assassinate them if I ever get into their freaking heaven, because that's a bunch of BS. Okay? But there are three kinds of people. I said before, I'm going to say it again, and I'll say it later. There's the person who's just mad and angry and never moves on and tells everyone. They can even get good. They can be nice and sweet, and they tell everyone what happened to them, and they get pity, and they sulk, and they're always angry, and this is the reason why I'm not successful, and this is the reason why I can't have a relationship, this is the reason why my mother hates me, this is this excuse. It's like, and then if you try to talk to them about it and they never heal, these are the people I cut out of my coaching program. And then they just go on to, either vengeance, I'm going to kill that son of a bitch, which is like, you're entitled to feeling that way. I suggest you don't do that for all the reasons it would fuck up the rest of your life. But the part that gets me is they don't want to create a better life for themselves. I will try to give you the tools to do that. Perpetuate my childhood rape and assault and yours and our future family and loved ones, because they don't want to talk about it. I mean, if I even spell childhood sexual assault out, I can say it on here, but if I spell it in any title or any description on my video, that they will shut me down, because I said sexual and I said childhood, and it's like, no. Even when I have them review it and all, I had my store, I finally disconnected my store, because just the other day I disconnected my store because it just keeps getting shut down. Thinking I'm running a sex ring or something. I'm like, you can't talk about what happened to us. So these people in the middle, they know what happened to them. These are the survivors that don't do anything. They don't get too angry. They're like, yeah, it happened, I'm moving on. But they don't really move on. They're like, yeah, I'd like it to do better, but I don't know how, because I can't, because this happened, so I can't get where I want to go, but that's all right. That's all right. Apathetic. So if you're apathetic, either change, or this isn't for you either. I work with people that are like, God damn it, I keep getting haunted by the cPTSD, and I don't want to, because I have a great life. I know life is great. I'm going to build a future for myself that is devoid of this. And then I tell them, yay you, I'm so proud of you. That's the kind of person I want to work with. And no, you're not. You're not. You're not going to build a future that's devoid of this. But you are going to discover that every day can be fine with CSA in your history. You are a perfectly normal CSA survivor, and so am I. And I spent decades being scared to walk in a room because of just this inherent feeling that I'm scummy, that I'm lower than everybody else, And so I get all regal about it. I was talking about this yesterday too. I was like, I get all, when I come in, I was told by a friend who became my lifelong best friend until she died tragically a few years back. We were best friends for like 20 years over. When we met, I was playing in a bar and she was dancing in a bar here in Springfield. And she said, when we got alone together for the first time, just kind of stuck at the same table quietly, she's like, we had some wine and we were talking and then got along really great. And she's like, I always thought you were a bitch because you never talked to anyone. I'm like, wow, I always thought you were kind of a bitch too. And it's like, turns out we were both survivors, and then more reading and therapy and studying, I find out this is just across the board with CSA and abuse of any kind survivors, is this feeling of not being good enough. You know, this feeling that you have to mask it. So sometimes we'll over mask it, you know. And so if I ever came across as quiet or, you know, proud, you know, those who've talked to me know that if you start talking, I won't shut up. You'll get my life story inappropriately, probably, because I also have Asperger's syndrome, and that will lend me to not knowing where the boundaries are, you know. But it's also helps me in my string of thought stuff here. So, and that was a recent finding too. I took the test within the last 2 years, and I went, that explains a lot. And my own family member's child is like, no, you don't. That's ridiculous. And I'm like, wow, it makes me feel a lot better to know that the things that I think and internalize apply. But it goes beyond the Asperger's. Asperger's also lends one to feeling outside of everybody. But survivors, you don't just feel outside of everybody. You feel not up to everybody, not up to their standards, not up to their worth, you know. And that's something that you're going to get over if you stick around with me, because life is great. Sometimes I get some flashbacks. You know what? They go away. They go away because I consciously let them melt over me. Our guy's leaving again. I let that rush come, the rush that comes at me of unprocessed memory, the smell or taste or sound will trigger me, and I'll feel like I'm right back in the middle of this space. It's like putting a video, juxtapositioning a video that I am also in and the star of, right on top of life, and now I'm in it too, and it's real to me. So from the outside, this can lead to freak out, drug addiction, alcohol use, anything to not feel this way, hyposexuality, hypersexuality, all these manifestations that people don't really realize are tied to their negative image of their own self-worth. And so by getting back to step one, S in spades, the shame is not yours. And we will continue working on ways to do that. But moving on, really the simplest one, because I want you to think of this as 6 easy things. So despite the fact that we're going to tear it apart and talk a lot about each one of these, all you really need to know after we think about that, don't memorize it, you'll remember it. Just think of the shame is not mine. And if you need to take it further than that and give yourself a quick example so that you can snap out of whatever shameful feeling or PSD moment has come over you, then think about some child that you know and care about, that's the age you were when you were being violated and assaulted. And even if you, like me, didn't tell, even if you, like me, felt like you were a part of a relationship that you hated but you were still in, you are not to blame because you were a child. So just go, hey, adolescents are children, so are teenagers. Adults who prey on teenagers are disgusting. And that brings me to another thing I'm going to throw in here. Why? This is the society part. I get so sick of them talking on the news and everything, drawing this line between like an 18-year-old. All of a sudden it's okay if she's 18. Like Representative Gates, well, as long as she was 18, it's okay. It's like you're still a perv if you're flying young girls around for sex. If you are a grown man and you're looking at 16 to 18, or 18, we'll go with legal, 18-year-olds as sexually available, it may be legal, but don't you think you're still a perv? What do you guys think? I think having sex with a teenager is disgusting. and then people are like, what about teen on teen sex? I'm like, even if they both agree, whatever, no, I'm not going to go kick their ass and try to stop it, because everyone knows how that doesn't work. But what I did with my kids is I put the fucking fear of God in them. And I told them the truth too. It's like, sex is awesome. I love sex. Now I do, especially because now I get orgasms too. And now I'm not an actress. Now I'm with somebody that like takes the time to completely reach other melded universes with me. It's amazing. This is a possible thing. And I did not know that. Married and divorced 3 times. I did not know that. And I want that for you. I want that for every CSA survivor. There's a special place in hell for the people that raped us when we were children. But I think there's also a pretty damn close special place in hell for people that are still looking at 18-year-olds as fuckable. Maybe a little different if you're 21, or I don't know. I don't know where the lines are drawn, and I get confused about this too. And I know I'm colored by my own experience. And I have a friend who's a girl, who 100% says I'm wrong and teen sex is normal and natural and fine, and all the sex she ever had she enjoyed and liked. And so I guess maybe that's given me a lot of food for thought, because as a CSA survivor, I am, any sex that I had that didn't lead to a lifelong relationship, I'm ashamed and embarrassed about. And it's not a belief. It's just a feeling inside that I don't want to share myself. And I don't think there's any God that gives a damn what I do with my body. I think if I want to fuck a troop of clowns, it's fine. But I don't want to. That's what I'm saying. I can't even imagine being intimate with, and it's not even a more than one person. It's just, for me, the intimacy happened on such an emotional level that the physical is just part of the whole thing. And I could never even imagine wanting more than that, because it's everything. So to those who have multiple sex partners and all, okay, not being judgmental, but I do want you to think to yourself, and if you're in a relationship with somebody who is in a relationship with somebody else and you're not happy about it, I want you to consider that what you want means more than what they want you to be. And like in this Quora thing where people put questions like, what can I do to make him stop cheating on me? It's like, leave and don't care if he stops cheating on you, because respect yourself. Go get what you want. Be the person, not the person that's always angry about being violated and raped and assaulted as a child. And don't be the person that's like, okay, I know it happened, but I don't want to talk about it. I'm okay. I'm just going to be okay. Maybe I could be better, but I don't know. I'm just going to be here. My husband and I, we don't really get along, but I'm just trying to make him happy. I just don't, whatever keeps the food on the table, that's like a miserable life. Be the person that I am working to be every day. Like I said, survivors don't have a graduation day. CSA survivors, we are survivors. We're going to survive for the rest of our lives. And it doesn't have to be miserable. It can be amazing. Everyone's got their cross to bear, Think of soldiers, visions of their buddies getting blown up and having to shoot children who are packing bombs and mortars and whatnot. I mean, everyone has their cross to bear. And the bigger your cross gets, it seems like the more a person can bear. But that doesn't mean that the people bearing crosses that you think are lesser are truly bearing lesser crosses. You know what I mean? That actually made sense. Because what is disturbing to one person may be perfectly normal to another, and what is perfectly normal to another might be completely asinine to somebody else. So what we're doing here online and in our social groups, which is why I'm so glad social media exists, and I'm so glad that I can work with people online, because it's just opened up this huge doorway to zoom in on people just like each other and help each other. Because isn't having a better life what it's all about? Isn't it? I don't know if you can hear this, but I've got a crystal bowl meditation going on here in the background. I love these. If you go to YouTube and look up crystal bowl meditations, This one is the 3-hour crystal singing bowl healing. You can do whatever you want. I like the ones that are just the bowls, not music or raindrops or ocean waves. I personally, I don't find ocean waves peaceful. I have a very hard time sleeping. Something else CSA survivors understand, as most of us have never slept more than 3 hours in a row, if that, in our lives. I don't know that I've slept more than an hour and a half in a row until very recently. And I think that's because I feel a sense of trust for the first time with my partner. But in any case, you're hypervigilant. Whether your assault happened day or night, you still become hypervigilant. And that's something that I didn't even realize that I did until my current and forever. I always say current, but I don't want it to sound like it's temporary. The very first time that we got together after our 27 years apart from not seeing each other, he's like, "You're tense." He notices like that I'm always tense. I didn't even notice that I'm always tense, except when I lay in bed, like I'm trying to sleep and I can't, and then I realize I'm all like this, and then I like, "Okay, relax your neck, relax your shoulders." I talk myself down. I'm like, okay, I'm sinking into the pillow. I can't sleep. Oh, and I'm right back into it. And I went through a period of every pill, meditations, biofeedback, therapy. This ties back into what we're talking about today, and I'm gonna expound a little bit more on before we wrap up, and that is body memory and dissociation. All of it pulls together, because we've got to take the jumbled stuff that triggers the jumbled memories that make us feel like we're out of control and feel like we're back in the past. The first step, and I'm going to tell you this probably every single time we talk, remind you this step. The first step is state your name. I'm serious. It's like naming serial number of soldier. Okay? My name is Linda. If you state the date, it's 2022. Actually, it's St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm looking at a chair. I'm a grown-up. I have 3 children of my own. I am talking live online right now, blah, blah, blah. So if I start to get lost in the cPTSD experience, I cannot expect my mind, which has never processed this and put it into memory properly at this point. I've been working on that and having success. I'm going to talk about that too. But we're not there yet. So I'm going to take this. I feel it come over me. I'm lost in the past, the video of the past. I'm in it now. I'm starring in it. It's right here, taking over the present. And before I completely slip into tears and shaking and losing it, I get a grip enough to say, I'm having a PTSD experience. My name is Linda. It's 2022. That's a chair. That's my computer. I'm talking to you, blah, blah. State the facts. State everything that comes to mind. And then you bring yourself back to the present. Then it fades away. That's what I mean by you let it settle over you. Remember that game when you were kids, like that you put an egg, like you tell someone to close their eyes and you put your hand on their head and you tap it 3 times and then you go like this? Well, that's the feeling. It's like that. It's like you get this wash over you. Now, your cPTSD experiences usually hit you more like, boom! So if you can change it to just a icky wash that you ride out and let go away quickly, instead of letting it get into your gut and your heart, then you're going to feel stable and centered and get on with your day, instead of having to go have a cigarette or melting down or having to explain yourself to somebody who just saw it happen or whatever. It's just, if those things are fun to you, okay, be that person. But I want to have an actual real normal life where I no longer hide what happened to me, but where it's also not the basis, the center of who I am. And I realized that because I kept it swallowed, because I didn't talk about it, because I kept it pressed down like a spring that you're stepping on, I'm okay, I look cold, I'm okay. It's like, no, you know what you are? step off the spring and you're like, boing, you're all over the place. And that is who I've been for decades. Until I started really, really working on myself. You know, it started with writing my book. It started with writing, actually it wasn't a book. It started with, I had a blackout 2 years ago. I talked about it on my last live stream, but I'll reiterate more briefly, that I had this blackout following the news that a bus driver raped a 26-year-old white bus driver rapes a 14-year-old black girl, and he didn't get any jail time. He got probation, and he couldn't be around kids for a while because there was only one victim, and after all, she did drink alcohol that he gave her, and took her to his house and raped her, and she reported him, and that's what ended up. And at the same time, I saw the news that the guy that killed the girl's parents and held her in a cage, nothing appreciable happened to him either. I mean, what the hell? So I lost it. I had a blackout. It started me writing my book. It's too loud to talk now. Hang on, get a drink while they work on that. I think he's working on the motorcycle. Might have to wrap up or take it inside. He's working on the motorcycle, so I'm gonna get in a little closer here. So yeah, oh, now it's off. So where was I? So you got this swimming around and you need to process it, and we're going to work on what I'm doing intensively now, and it's changing my life. And all studies across the board, anybody doing cognitive behavioral therapy, especially trauma-focused, CBT, trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, have long-lasting, permanent resolution. And what it does, it's that stuff, those memories that are causing the cPTSD experiences and flying around in here and taking you over, you got to get those filed away. And they figured out how. Writing. This is why we are right. This is what art is for. This is why humans developed art, was to deal with life, the goods and the bads, the ups and the downs. And that's my theory, at least. And by drawing, I actually have a book inside that my therapist wanted me to draw, because I said I still feel like a piece of shit, despite the fact I started a business supporting women artisans 5 years ago. We're at feelgoodfairtrade.com, shameless plug, but please support us because we're trying to recover from the pandemic with no advertising money. And we support women, family, community artisans all over the world, especially focusing on those who have been rescued from sex trafficking or being given alternatives to sex work. So despite I have that, I just founded the Sweet Survivor, which I'm trying to get off the ground, and I need you to support. So I want you to do a $5 monthly subscription to Sweet Survivor, please. There's one on GoFundMe and there's one on Facebook, but I'm centralizing all that on a Sweet Survivor website right now. Right now, sweetsurvivor.com goes to my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, as a subdomain, but that's just because I'm building the other one. And I started on TikTok 2 weeks ago, and I had no idea that we'd get 1,000 followers. I thought it'd take months. So I thought I had a long time before we'd be going live. But now I'm like, crash course it into it. Also, my book, which tentatively speaking is going to be published by a major publisher of people that books we respect, Bone Broth Diet, Rich Dad Poor Dad, good people, Chicken Soup for the Soul authors go through Harrison Publications. And while we don't have a deal, I'm also shamelessly plugging that now because I want to make sure they pick me up, and we're talking. They liked the first 7 chapters I put out. And I started to say this earlier and didn't get that far. Yes, my whole journey here to helping people and working with people and feeling like I'm actually doing some good in the world started with, after that blackout, where I beat up my then boyfriend and kicked him out. And it was a lot longer, but I detailed that in more length, and I didn't remember it. I only remember one moment of it, and that's when I met Rage, one of my alters, and have since done work to get to know Rage better. And Rage was the one that pulled little girl out of her dissociation. So little girl is my alter that would take over when sexual things would happen. And then when they would stop happening and I'd be lost in dissociation land, then rage would take over and be like, you're going to kill him. Someday you can kill him, you know, and you got to get your shit together. You're so stupid. But rage is mean to me. Rage is like, get your shit together. You are, you know, get up, get on. You got to succeed. So my rage saved me, but it also didn't lend myself to being completely wonderfully centered as an adult. Someone from my hometown commented on one of these on YouTube, because I've been doing this on YouTube for a couple years now. Commented, only kind of haphazardly. What did she say? That I'm batshit crazy, you know, and I'm like, I will agree to say that being groomed and forced into sex, oral acts, and then raped and gang raped and all for years of my adolescence, childhood and adolescence and teens, did not lend itself to great mental health. Yeah, okay? So if you're with, and I'm bringing this up specifically because also the kind of people on Quora where I read this stuff and I'm just, the only reason I keep going back to this is because I'm like mortified and I'm just like, wow, the things people put up with. Across the board, nobody seems to give a damn about what they want or if the person they're with is a decent person. It's like, how can I stop them from cheating on me? Why are they cheating on me? How do I make my wife stay home when I'm at work so she can't cheat on me? I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you that you are even desiring to stay in a relationship like that? So, you know, the answer to divorces and teen pregnancies and over, like, abortions, you know, I've had 2 myself in the past. Not saying that I don't support, I'm just saying if we want healthier outcomes, then we have to raise healthier children who respect themselves. And we can't do that if we don't respect ourselves. So I'm going to wrap up here by saying, join my group. This is the group. We're going to be doing this. The time changes a little bit by day because I actually also have a life selling my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, working with that, and also Facebook Marketplace sales, and I'm moving, and I have a child in school, and so sometimes I'm not exactly at the time I say I'm going to be, but it'll always be, you know, 1 to 2-ish, one-ish, let's call it one-ish, that I'll be on, and I want to start interacting, and for my book, it's called Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Assault. And there's an addendum I'm making of, because I've been talking to all these people, it's like, I want to share their experiences. And I thought, I was trying to like work them into the book, and then like, well, I'll do a chapter. And then I'm like, wait, this is a whole section. This might be a whole book of its own, actually. But I want to talk with you about your experiences. So soon, I will have, not today, but there'll be an appointment calendar link up in the next one of the next live streams. That will let you book a half-hour appointment, and I just want to talk, however long we want to talk. I just want to talk to you about your experience, and then we'll keep it anonymous. You know, unless you want to out your perpetrator, I'll be happy to name them. I just want to compile a survivor addendum for my book and expand it probably into a book of its own too. So I'd love to talk to you. And specifically, I want you to, here's your homework. I'm going to give you some trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy homework. I want, what my therapist said to me, and I think I tangented off of this. She said, what does being a piece of shit look like to you? I started to talk all about CBT, and I forgot to get back to what I brought up. She's like, you keep saying you feel like a piece of shit even though you know you're not. What does that look like to you? What makes you feel like a piece of shit? And I'm like, what do you mean, what does it look like? She's like, draw it. I want you to draw it. And I'm like, what do you mean draw it? And I couldn't think of anything, and I didn't think she was nuts. I knew it made sense, but nothing came to mind. And so I finally put pastel to paper in a sketchbook, And like, I don't know, 6 pages later and a lot of tears, I had done a lot of healing. And now I remember, I drew a picture. You got a minute? Hang on. I'm gonna grab my notebook. It's upstairs. So potty break, everyone take a minute. I think that this is important since we led into it for you to see what your homework is and what happens. I don't buy expensive Starbucks. I buy bags of Starbucks and I make it and put it in bottles that my son's friend buys of expensive Starbucks. A little kilted out today. Okay, I'm back. Getting a little cloud cover. Ooh, I look like a doweress. Isn't that what it's called? A doweress or something, like an Italian lady? Matriarch or something. It's supposed to be just a ribbon because, see, it's shamrocks for St. Patrick's Day. And I keep it and wear it once a year or maybe 2 or 3 times for St. Patrick's Day events. But our parade isn't until this weekend. It was last weekend, but then they changed it. So here's what happened when I had to do cognitive behavioral therapy and I had no idea what to do. I had to draw why I feel like a piece of shit in the world. And so this is the first picture I drew. I was like, all right, well, I'll just start with the fact that I liked him, right? And then in drawing, I remembered what he said to me. He said, "Hi, sexy, I like you, you don't mind my and I said, "I like you, you don't mind my company, you smile and laugh a lot." So that's me looking at him, fixing the car under the carport, being nice to me. I'm the 4th child. My sister's much older than me. They already had 2 kids, you know, young, and she was young. He's older than her. So then I was like, the next memory that came to me, and the reason I'm drawing these is because, see, now that I'm looking at it myself, it's like I drew it from my memory, but still, this is the first time that I'm putting it into my memory. This is now, I can see I'm sitting at a table and I, like, even the clothes, like, I remember. I drew this like really fast and it's gin and grape juice. And the song I wrote 20 years ago, it says grape juice and gin, kitty cocktails again. And I don't even know who the other person is for sure, but the blonde was my ex-brother-in-law and assaulter. So by looking at this, I was like, okay, he got me drunk. I wasn't a bad girl who got drunk. I was a child and an adolescent child, you know, an 11, 12-year-old child, and he got me drunk, you know, and this is getting harsh. You may want a trigger warning, now's the time to leave. But this is like cognitive behavioral therapy, trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy is very painful because you have to relive shit that you bury and you try to stuff it into your gut, and that is killing you and it's stopping you from having good relationships. So then I remember him physically doing things to me, you know, and I drew the picture of it. And it's like, I said, I don't want to do this. It doesn't in my pants. He's touching me. And by drawing it and writing it out, I don't even think I can read it because it's just too painful, but it switched the memory from the jumbled part of my brain that gets triggered and reacts. You know, that'll still happen, but it made a memory imprint in the right side of my brain that needs to have a memory imprint so that I can process this when it's happening. So the best thing you can do is trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy if you're a CSA survivor. And I am not, again, some kind of doctor or licensed therapist. I'm just somebody who's walked the walk and figuring shit out so that I can have a good life. And working it out for me, I posted the first 7 chapters of my book, which are pinned to my Facebook page. It's also Linda Kay Survived, so I would appreciate it if you would go and like that too. And I'm trying to, well, basically I put one post up with my 7 chapters, and I had 7,000 readers within the first 3 weeks. And I really just did that because I wanted to just come clean. I wanted to hurt my ex-brother-in-law. I did. I wanted it to be public. I didn't say who then, but I've come around to that. I was trying to sue him then, but it turns out that the statute of limitations, they haven't changed it in Missouri. Some states, like in Illinois, I could sue him now because I was a child when it happened. And these are the kind of things that children don't talk about for 20 years, you know. So, and that needs to change. That needs to change. So back to the cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm sorry, but that's what it does. It is very disturbing. This is him touching me, and I say I hate it when he puts his fingers inside me, but he says I like it, and he won't stop. I said I hate it, but it feels like it has to go on. And that's what I remember. It was like, I don't want to do this, but it seems like I don't have a choice. I didn't think I had a choice. And then this one came out next. So I didn't think I could draw anything, and the next thing I know, I'm drawing pictures of myself giving my assaulter a blowjob. And in doing so, rather than feeling like I'm a horrible, disgusting, shameful person, you know, I feel like he's a pervert and an asshole who deserves whatever he gets if the law won't do it to him. And, you know, I'm not going to go hurt him. I'm not going to do that. But if words can hurt, I hope, because here's him forcing his hand on my head, forcing me down and telling me what to do. And here's me saying, it's ugly and disgusting and I can't breathe. We are on a country road or behind the winery. I know he won't take me home until I do it. So that's the truth right there. At least in my mind, I didn't know what to do to make it stop. I just wanted it to stop. So I went away. I dissociated and I invented this person who did not have a name. That's a whole nother level of alter when you've got named alters that come out and take over. I just had a person that I never ever didn't remember. It never took my memory away. But I have been swallowing it for a lifetime. And what I discovered I was doing, like I said, 3 marriages, 3 divorces. What I discovered that I was doing was going away during intimacy too. So for sex, for me, I thought that I was doing it. I didn't know. I always felt like there was something wrong, and they would know that, but they seemed to be okay having sex with me, my husbands and partners, you know. And I was like, I never felt okay about it. I was never part of it. I never had orgasms. I was self-conscious the whole way. I felt ugly and fat and gross, and I bet I'm not doing it right. I bet somebody else does it better. I mean, it never, just self-talked my way through the whole thing too. And so what we're going to do, oh my God, I just made the connection. I was just talking yesterday about how, and today, we have to be our own cheerleader. I just realized self-talk, which started my book, because after the blackout and after realizing I'd beat up my partner and tried to kill him and choke him and don't remember 2 hours of my life again, like when I was little, I would just wake up somewhere and be in a closet or the bathroom floor or in a field, and I just didn't know where I was. And little girl would take me there, and rage would kick my ass back up, and I would go on and be as perfect as I could be, you know. And that transferred into the bedroom too. And because my sexual experiences were never of my own making, I never decided to have sex. That's something I can't even imagine. I can imagine it now because it happened to me this time with the partner that I'm with, which is what blew me away, because I didn't even know I was capable of that sort of thing. But the desire started within me. It wasn't me trying to please somebody else. The desire, I went after him hard because I felt like a vibration around him whenever he's there, you know. I feel this thing, and I want other people to have the openness to feel that. And I know that it's a combination of the fact that he is the right kind of person to be with, the kind of person that I am, and that I put myself in a place where I could be open to it. And I did that through a lot of work and a lot of tears. And CBT, back to the top, will help you separate the past from the present. Because do your pictures, you know, it's hard. It's hard. What am I going to draw? I don't know. There we are hanging out. Oh, yeah, he got me drunk. That's right. Oh, there he is sucking on my breast. I'm just a child. What the hell is going on? Now his hands are in my pants. Oh, God, now he's making me suck his dick. You know, this is like, this happens, and you're a child, and if somebody that you're with is not able to realize that your body, and you, if you, let me change the way I said that. You must realize that you are not your body. Your body is what contains you. Your body is the physical vessel that you are contained in. Your soul and your mind is still there, irrespective of what your body does. Now, we can talk about life after death. That's a whole nother thing, and we will sometime. But I'm not I'm not going to read your cards. I'm not going to ask for $20 to read your tarot cards for you. I'm not going to talk to angels. Not that I don't think that there might be some. And I met some guardian angels when I died and then came back. Almost died. Had an afterlife experience. But just saying, your beliefs are your own. But do know, whether you're religious or not, separate the fact that your body experienced things from the fact that your mind is its own free agent. Okay? It didn't sign a deal with your past that, like, you have to suffer forever. You know, there's no exclusive clause with CSA. You broke it. You're gone. You're grown up now. Get on with it. And help other people, though. Don't just get on with it in the middle. It's okay. Get on with it. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to help people. I'm going to advocate. I'm going to buy from places that support women artisans like my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com. Get on with it. Support the Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund. Go advocate in your own community. Watch your own children closer than you ever think you need to. We'll talk about that too. Okay. I've been on here a long time, and I actually have real merchandising work to do. So, happy St. Patrick's Day again. I will talk to you tomorrow. And Saturday, we'll do a special live from the parade downtown. That'll be fun. I'll do a long parade live stream in downtown, beautiful Springfield, Illinois. Take care. I still haven't figured out how to turn this thing off without just like turning it. Oh, there it is. I'm a newbie. Give me a little slack. Oh, and there's hours more of these on YouTube. On all kinds of subjects. Like, don't trade your daughter for a cow. Stuff like that.